People think that I have a large factory that just knocks out work. If you want to make public works in different mediums, you have to have support. I do have a lot of people that work with me, but we make very few paintings a year because it takes a long time to make each one. I learned at a very young age how to take care of myself, and I've always enjoyed providing. So the studio is really an extension of that. It's a sense of community. From the time I was a child, I was self-reliant. I would go door to door, sell gift wrapping paper, candies, chocolates, and I always enjoyed that I never knew who would open that door. But it's the same thing that's happening now as an artist today, wanting this communication, this interaction. It wasn't until I got to art school that I really understood how art can connect you through human history and a type of reservoir that it can be. If I look at all the works that I've done over the years, I can see that I continue with certain themes. I like flowers, I like certain sensual images. There's certain things that I like to work with because it's really the same information, how you look at life, spiritual aspects. A lot of things continue to come into play. Objects are metaphors for people. It always turns out to be about others. It's not about accepting that object, high-low culture. It's about the acceptance of others.
Got everything, Chris?
Yeah. I don't know if these will work with the fence. Yeah, these braces weren't there when we flipped it. Yeah.
Screwdriver. We're gonna maybe leave this one in for the time being.
Yeah, I wasn't actually gonna take it out. I did that one and they missed it. So.
Because they'll have enough room. Okay.
Yeah, this one I'm just gonna leave it.
Jeff's images are usually made up of many different sources. He'll compose these on the computer and spend a fair amount of time color correcting. It's our job to reproduce as close as possible to this reference, and then we work with him in the painting process. We trace the drawing on a larger scale. We have to mix color to his liking. Everything is done through maps. For example, we have a map for the hand. We have 141 colors just for the fist on that painting. It's always an ongoing process to try to get it as close to the reference as possible. So for example, if you looked in here, we have number 21, we would have somebody mix actual color that would match that specific area on the painting. We mix it on the table over there. We basically make a swatch. Usually 3 or 4 people have to look at the color and agree if it matches or not. And then we go through and tube these paints and have boxes full of all the paints that we need. Flesh is a hard one. Jeff's very particular on the flesh, so once we find someone that we like that does it the way we want, it's very hard to keep them around doing it good. You have people that paint inflatables really well. People specialize in certain things. The way we paint here is very particular. It's very smooth, so we have to watch out that people aren't painting too thick. It's kind of an irreversible thing. You can't really fix that. But generally speaking, it's 3 people on a painting at all times, and it's probably 6 to 8 months for a painting, sometimes longer. Ideas change, techniques change, so it's always evolving into different things. I've seen Jeff work on some of the paintings years ago. I haven't seen him work so much now. The painting process I see him working is on the computer. He'll keep composing the image until he's happy with it. That's primarily where I see most of his time spent. But he's more hands-on in coming in daily and giving us guidance on what he wants and how to execute it to make it look like what he wants it to look like.
I think the way art comes into the world is through a metaphysical process. If you try to create art, it's a decorative process. You're just wasting time spinning gears until you get so bored with yourself that you just stop the process and say, okay, what do I really want to do? What am I interested in? And you focus on it, and before you know it, you're in that metaphysical place. Baron Policeman is probably one of my kind of darker works. I worked with wood because I wanted to work with a material that had a spiritual side. It's a living material, it keeps moving. The church has used it for a very kind of spiritual aspect to its nature. Baron Policeman is an image of a bear that's really kind of outgrown the symbol of authority. And it's larger than the bobby, the policeman bobby that's there. And it's ready to blow the bobby's whistle. There's kind of a sense of sexual humiliation there through overpowering the bobby. And that piece for me is really speaking about that, art should be something really powerful. Artists should embrace all the tools of art to communicate as strongly as possible, as clearly as possible, with as much virile quality. But at the same time, there's morality that comes along with that. And that's just the respect of other people, that their rights are equal to yours. And so Baron Policeman was always like art having that power, but being misused and going out of control. And it always reminded me like of Hitler. So I was trying to communicate, again, artists should embrace all the powers of art, but there's a moral responsibility that comes with it. Ushering in Banality is also from the Banality series. It's also made out of wood. I always felt that it was a little autobiographical. The young boy in the back pushing the pig, I always thought of as myself, pushing in this belief of really trying to make work that would communicate to people that their own cultural history to that moment was perfect, absolutely perfect. Cultural history, personal history, everything is perfect. And that would give them a foundation to move forward in life. Art can be something which can really disempower people and can make them feel completely inferior. And some people can get a sense of power from that. Or it can be a vehicle which can empower people. And I also get a sense of power from empowering. There are theatrical aspects taking place in Versailles. My artworks want to show themselves. The artworks are extroverted. The major salons are about public interaction. It's for the public to be there. I had to position myself in a certain way, even to be accepted within that situation of Louis Quatorze, just like any artist of the court would have to present themselves in a certain way. The way I did that, I showed my self-portrait bust, and I put the bust on top of a plinth that was designed by Bernini. So it was quite high. It was probably about 11 feet up in the air. And I remember when I made this suggestion, some of the assistants at Versailles started to giggle. They thought, how could he do that? How could he, put himself on such a position like that on a Bernini base? But I realized that was kind of necessary. And that was across from the portrait of Louis Quatorze by Rigaud. And I think it worked, and I think Louis Quatorze appreciated it. When I'm at Versailles, it never really seems to be about excess, because it seems to be about detail and enjoying the detail. I really enjoyed the lobster hanging, I think it was in the Salon de Mars. If you look at the lobster, it's a little bit like a performer, like an acrobat, kind of broad arms, and the tentacles are like a mustache. But if you look closely, the graphics on the lobster are like somebody being burned at the stake. So you also have this sense that if you're in the public eye long enough, that's an inevitable fate. To be able to have an exhibition at Versailles, it's really a special opportunity. I spent about 5 weeks of the summer being in the gardens and going through the palace, and then I planted Split Rocker. There are 90,000 flowers, and I worked with a team of gardeners from Versailles. And this was the first time that I ever planted a floral piece completely mathematically. It's based on a pattern of 5 plants. I have different light colors and dark colors and mid colors, but it's all done in mathematical patterns, and I never did that before. I thought that was really appropriate for Versailles.
Les différentes couleurs représentent les différentes fleurs et elles sont positionnées d'une certaine façon que nous devons respecter sur la structure. C'est un plan pour planter.
Vu que c'est pas précisément à des endroits très précis. Donne-moi un pétunia mambo rouge, s'il te plaît.
One of the things that I came to realize in this last year, I had several major exhibitions. I had a show at Chicago at the Museum of Contemporary Art. I had a show on the roof of the Metropolitan in New York, exhibition at Versailles, and then also at the Neue National Gallery in Berlin. I had a chance to see different bodies of work interacting with each other. The images can change a lot. The reason for making something can change. Some things can be more cerebral, other ones can be more physical. But what doesn't change is that a reason for making them. That desire to be in that moment of that time when you want to make something. Just diving in, that kind of sense of abandonment of kind of any doubt and just going for it. And that's really what's important to me as the viewer in this case. I know that other viewers can look at it and they can feel something, but I hope that the main charge that they're getting is that sense of commitment of moving forward on something, that commitment of gesture.
Art in the 21st Century and its educational resources, please visit us online at pbs.org. Art 21, Art in the 21st Century is available on Blu-ray and DVD. The companion book is also available. To order, visit us online at shoppbs.org or call PBS Home Video at 1-800-PLAY-PBS.